Happy Tuesday, fabulous third graders. I am back again today to read chapter 2 of They Came to Worthington, A Family Adventure. Yesterday I read chapter 1 and I asked you guys to think about today what you guys could buy for $1.25. So what costs $1.25? And then I asked you guys to talk to your parents or a grown-up at your house and see what, when your parents were growing up, what they could buy for $1.25 and see if there was any differences. If you remember, our story is taking place in 1803, and they were able to buy an acre of land for $1.25. I don't think today we could buy any land at all for $1.25. So I wanted you to think about how money has kind of changed, and even since our parents were young, maybe if they could buy more than what we could buy. So I hope you talked to your parents and had a little conversation about that. Today I'm going to read chapter 2. In chapter 2 it talks about how they are going to get where they're going, their mode of transportation. It is the covered wagon. Here is a picture of a covered wagon. And I'm going to read you a little bit about a covered wagon so then when I read the chapter, you know what I'm talking about. So, the pioneers traveled west in covered wagons. The wagons were big and strong. They were covered with a white cloth top. The wagons were pulled by ox or horses. There were no bridges over the rivers. Some of the wagons were shaped like boats, so the pioneers crossed the rivers in their boat-shaped wagons. The pioneers filled their wagons with many things. So that is about a covered wagon. I want you to already start thinking about how we go where we're going today, how our forms of transportation. This covered wagon was kind of a boat slash car slash van. It was able to go in the water and go on the road to get them where they were going. So I'm going to start with chapter 2. It is called The Way West. Make sure there's nothing in these barrels that rattles around, Lovisa. You know how rough the ride will be in these covered wagons. It was early in the morning and Papa was setting a line of barrels in front of the houses. As he rolled the barrels from the house to the road, he watched the village commons for the covered wagons he had arranged to have built while he was away. Here's the last one ready to go, Mama called from the house. Careful of this barrel. My mother's china teapot is in it. Papa laughed. Hope you packed your pewter dishes. They won't break. You women folks surely have strange ideas about what you'll be needing out west, there among the Indians and howling wolves. Wolves, Papa? Jed's eyes opened wide as he skipped along behind his father. Why, yes, boy. I wasn't going to mention it, but, well, they're sure enough scarce. But they do howl at night sometimes. They stay in the woods, though, and won't bother us. And Indians? Hannah stopped her skipping and looked worried. Why, those Indians walked around looking at us from behind the trees the whole time we were building the cabins. They're just curious, that's all. Just like little girls, Papa said with a grin as he gave her one long braid a tug. Jed called, Here comes our wagon! The muscular gray horses pulled the big wooden wagon over the stones toward them. Whoa, Papa's friend John called to the horses, stopping at the Talbots' front gate. John got down from the wagon. The horses stopped their feet and whined impatiently. John and Papa unhitched the team and led them towards the barn. All right. In this chapter, it talked about how, or this page, it talks about how they were packing things into a barrel. Think for a second. When we travel, what do we usually pack our items into? A suitcase, a tote bag, something like that. When we are moving, what do we usually pack our items into? Same sort of things. Suitcases, tote bags, big boxes. They were using barrels. Here, right here, is a picture of a barrel. The day would be spent loading the wagon with John helping Papa. "Don't forget your axe and shovel, Matthew," John said, "and of course your rifle and shot pouch. I hear there's game to be found in the forest, deer and squirrel in such abundance that you shouldn't want for other food." "Well, I'm taking salt pork just in case," said Mama. She was breathless from so many trips from the house to the wagon, and beans too. "And don't forget my yarn winder. The Morrisons are bringing their hatchel. Then we can make a loom so we can weave again after the flax has grown." Hannah cluttered her favorite doll, Samantha, so that she wouldn't be left behind. Jed's slingshot was tucked safely into the pocket of his linsey woolsey trousers. They watched as Mama hurried out with one more feather pillow. She would carefully tuck it into a corner next to the barrel with her best china. "Well, John," said Papa, "except for our clothing, we have everything we own in this wagon. What a time I had getting Louisa to part with so many things. She cried over every last piece of furniture, as if it went out the door. We sold all we could and gave away the rest. But we're all set now. I talked her into the idea of sharing some of the larger things with other families, like big brass kettle and the big brass kettle. That way we lighten all of our loads." Papa shook hands with John and thanked him for his help. By the end of the day, the inside of the wagon was getting very crowded. Mama remarked, "It's as much like the home as it's ever going to be. At any rate, I think we have everything we need." She turned and said to the twins, "Run over to the pump and wash. We'll eat the rest of the leftovers and get to bed early. We'll be up before the dawn tomorrow." Daylight was a pink fringe on the horizon. Mama climbed the stairs to the little room where Hannah and Jed lay sleeping on the feather pillows. "Hannah, Jed," she called, shaking their shoulders, "time to go meet the Kilborns. Papa is hitching up the wagon." On her way downstairs, she called back over her shoulder, "Bring your fellow feather pillows when you come." Hannah and Jed popped up immediately, excited that at last they were leaving. They put on their clothing and thumped down the stairs. Mama beckoned towards the table. "Look, children, Mrs. Allen's brought a warm breakfast for us." Mama packed the children's night clothes in a bundle and then called, "Matthew, if you will help the children, I'll take the dishes next door to Mrs. Allen and we'll be ready to go." Aunt Sarah came into the room carrying a large bundle. It certainly didn't look like clothes. "I bet those are her precious books," Jed whispered to Hannah. He knew how Aunt Sarah loved to read, and knew she could help make the journey go faster when she could read to them. A few minutes later, Papa latched the front door for the last time, and Hannah and Jed walked away from their home. For a moment, they felt a tug of sadness. Their sad feelings could not last for long, though. They could see the Kilborn wagon and the people gathered on the commons. On this day in September 1803, the Talbot family walked beside their wagon to join the others. They knew they would not be coming back to Berlin, but they felt a shiver of excitement and curiosity about the adventure ahead. All right, that is Chapter 2. I will be back with Chapter 3 tomorrow. Bye, guys.